September 10, 1988. Brentwood, Pennsylvania, a modest suburb just outside of Pittsburgh. Lush trees, quiet streets, tidy lawns, a place where nothing unusual ever happened. At 4:17 p.m., the Becker family closed on their dream home, a sprawling red brick colonial at 3406 Brownsville Road. The house dated back to 1909, with original fixtures, hardwood floors, stained glass windows, and 4 towering gables that gave it the feel of a place steeped in history. From the outside, it looked perfect, but on that first night, the hallway lights turned on by themselves, and the family cat refused to go upstairs. By the end of the first week, Bob Becker, a local businessman and retired Air Force officer, began keeping a notebook. He filled it with strange occurrences, doors that opened without warning, cold spots in the dining room, the sound of children crying behind walls. At first, his wife Lisa dismissed it. Stress, she thought, or maybe the old wiring. But when their youngest son Ryan, only 5 years old, woke screaming and pointing at the ceiling, saying, "The red man is floating," Lisa started to write things down too. That notebook would eventually fill over 400 pages, but it wouldn't be the only documentation, because over the next 18 years, priests, police officers, contractors, and even paranormal investigators would enter 3406 Brownsville Road. Some never went past the foyer, others left and never came back. On September 21st, Bob Becker installed new locks on every door. That same night, his daughter Katie, age 13, claimed she saw a man standing in the hallway mirror. She described him as wearing black, a Civil War-style coat, boots caked in mud, and no eyes, just sockets. Bob searched the house room by room with a crowbar. He found no one. But the mirror, it was facing the wall. No one in the family admitted moving it. In early October, the family priest, Father Dave McAndrews, performed a basic house blessing. During the ceremony, the temperature dropped 15 degrees within minutes. Father McAndrews paused midway through the blessing when he claimed to feel a presence pass through him, like standing in front of an open furnace. The next morning, the Beckers' front lawn was covered in dead birds. The cause? Undetermined. The local paper ran a small headline, "Dozens of starlings fall overnight. Authorities baffled." But Bob knew better. He burned the article and added the event to the notebook. As autumn deepened, so did the activity. Books flew from shelves in the night. Furniture was found rearranged. The worst was the basement, an unfinished root cellar with packed dirt walls and a low ceiling. No one in the family liked going down there, not even the dog. Lisa Becker later said, "It smelled like burning hair and ammonia. Always. Even when nothing was down there." One night, Bob decided to dig. He didn't say why. He just felt like he needed to. 3 feet beneath the surface, he hit wood, a coffin plank. No bones, no markings, just a single iron nail driven at the center. He stopped digging, but he never closed the hole. By January 1989, the Becker family had become accustomed to the impossible. They no longer questioned the voices in the vents, or the footsteps upstairs when everyone was downstairs. But that winter, something changed. The house began to react to prayer. Every night at 9 p.m., the family gathered in the living room to recite Psalm 91 aloud, at the suggestion of Father McAndrews, and every night the same thing happened. The chandelier would tremble. The walls would thump, not like pipes or settling wood, but with force, like fists. And on 3 occasions, windows cracked outward, not inward. Bob had the glass replaced each time. But on February 4th, while reading aloud from the Gospel of Mark, the family Bible caught fire. Not the table, not the candle beside it, just the book. The flames were blue. Word of the house spread. In March, a small team from the University of Pittsburgh's Department of Psychology approached Bob about conducting an observational study. They installed non-invasive monitoring equipment in 3 locations: the attic, the basement, the upstairs hallway. Only 2 days in, they shut down the experiment. One of the grad students, Samantha Kroll, reported hearing chanting through her wireless headset while reviewing basement footage, even though the room was silent. When the audio was played back, it had been replaced by white noise, with a single phrase buried deep in the static: "It's not yours." 2 weeks later, the Becker's middle son Ethan began sleepwalking, always at the same time, 2:23 a.m. He never left the house, but always ended up in the same place, standing at the base of the attic stairs. When asked what he was doing, he'd only whisper, "He needs help. He's still up there." Bob returned to the attic on March 28th, flashlight and crucifix in hand. He found nothing, except, he said, a deep sense of pressure, like standing underwater. And one final thing. Carved into the wooden beam above the far corner, nearly faded into the grain, were 5 crude letters: ANTRO. He showed the photo to Father McAndrews. The priest didn't respond. He excused himself, drove home, and resigned from the parish the next morning. In May of 1990, the Beckers contacted the Catholic Diocese of Pittsburgh, formally requesting an exorcism. Their case was denied, not for lack of belief, but because there was no proof that possession had taken place. A caseworker named Father Thomas Daly was sent to interview the family. He described Lisa as lucid but exhausted, Bob on edge but rational, the children disturbed but not delusional. His recommendation: ongoing observation, no ritual action at this time. That was on May 17th. That night, Bob awoke to the smell of smoke. He opened the bedroom door and found the hallway carpet burning in a straight line, from the stairwell to the attic door. There was no source, no accelerant, just flame. He extinguished it with towels and baking soda, but the next morning, 3 small black handprints remained burned into the wood just outside his daughter's bedroom. In August 1991, the Beckers were still in the house. By then, it was no longer about denial or disbelief. It was about endurance. Bob continued documenting, Lisa kept praying, and the children learned to avoid certain corners of their home: the attic stairs, the narrow hallway between the bedrooms, the dining room vent that sometimes breathed warm air, even in the dead of winter. But then came the night of August 28th. At 3:44 a.m., Lisa woke to the sound of glass shattering downstairs. Bob rushed down the stairs with a bat. He didn't find a broken window. He found every framed photo in the living room face down, their glass intact, yet completely spiderwebbed with cracks, like ice had spread across each frame simultaneously. The air smelled like sulfur. Ryan began to scream from upstairs. When Lisa reached him, he was staring at the closet. He didn't say anything, because his tongue was swollen, as if stung, blue and stiff. Doctors found no allergen, no bites, no reaction, just trauma. Ryan didn't speak for 2 days. That same week, Bob invited a former military chaplain and friend, Father Paul Etienne, to stay overnight. He brought holy water, rosary beads, and oil. He didn't even make it to midnight, according to his later written account. I was in the guest room when the smell hit, like blood and rot. Then the bed began to vibrate, not shake, vibrate, like a motor was beneath it. I heard a voice, low, guttural, behind my ear. It said, "This house is a wound." That quote would later be echoed by another visitor, Dr. Marisol Vega, a folklore scholar from the University of Texas. She had read Bob's notes, reviewed the strange word carved in the attic, ANTRO, and came to investigate. She stayed for 2 nights. On the second evening, she asked Bob if he had ever researched the property history beyond the 1909 build date. He had not. Dr. Vega shared what she had found. In 1792, during the last wave of Shawnee resistance in western Pennsylvania, a settler was executed by his own militia after being accused of ritualistic cruelty. His cabin had stood exactly where 3406 Brownsville Road was built. His name? Elias Turner. The name means little now, but in the few surviving diaries from that era, Turner was referred to by another title, the ANTRO, which in old Appalachian folk tradition meant the one who buries spirits in others. That night, Dr. Vega left and never returned. She sent a letter 3 weeks later. It said only, "The house doesn't have a spirit. The house is the spirit." On October 5th, 1992, a final event forced the Beckers into action. Katie had gone to shower around 8:30 p.m. Minutes later, the bathroom door slammed shut. The lights inside exploded, literally burst. When Bob pried the door open, he found Katie sobbing in the tub, covered in shallow cuts. On the steamed-over mirror, written in moisture, were 3 words, "I wait here." That night, they packed bags. Bob told Lisa, "We're done." They moved into a nearby apartment the next morning. The house remained empty for 4 years. In 1996, Bob Becker returned to 3406 Brownsville Road. He didn't want to, but something had changed. After 4 years vacant, the house hadn't deteriorated. It was perfectly preserved. No mold, no decay, no squatters. Bob said it felt like the house had simply waited. He brought in a team, not priests, not ghost hunters, but historical restoration experts, contractors, and surveyors. He told them nothing about the past, yet 2 of the workers independently walked off the job before completing their assessments. One left mid-sentence, refusing to retrieve his tools. The other sent a text the next morning. "There's something buried in the insulation. It isn't wood." Bob never replied. He boarded the attic shut and didn't reopen it for 10 more years. In 2014, Bob Becker published a memoir, The Demon of Brownsville Road. The book detailed every moment, from the first light flicker to the final mirror message. It became a local bestseller. It also stirred controversy. Skeptics pounced. They cited lack of hard evidence, the absence of police reports, the vagueness of church statements. They pointed out inconsistencies in dates and questioned why no photographic evidence had been included. A podcast titled Brownsville Unbound released a 4-part expose claiming Bob had fabricated the entire story to raise property value and garner media attention. And yet, records from the local fire department do confirm 4 unexplained calls to the property between 1989 and 1992, none resulting in visible flames, but each reporting burning smells and heat signatures. The Diocese of Pittsburgh still refuses to comment, and no current owner has publicly resided in the house since. In 2018, a visitor using Google Earth attempted to view the home's street-facing facade. The result was strange. The image loaded, then glitched. The lower half of the screen was completely black, not blurred, blacked out, as if something had been removed. It stayed that way for nearly 2 years. Today, it's back. But the attic window, the highest one, still doesn't reflect light, even in the middle of the day. So, what was it? A haunting? A buried spirit? A residual trauma left behind by someone long forgotten? Someone who hurt others and marked the land forever? Or was it something older? Something that waits for an invitation? The Beckers no longer speak about it publicly. The house still stands. The door is painted red. The address plaque has been removed, and the attic, by all accounts, remains sealed. But if you walk past at the right time of night, locals say you can still hear footsteps behind the glass, even when no one's home.